Welcome to Stay Sparked. On this show, we explore how to stay inspired in the modern world through the most profound lessons from Burning Man, relationships, entrepreneurship, psychedelics, spirituality, travel, and more.
On this episode, we talk about the art of socializing, how to get back out into the world if we've been less social than our normal selves would like, and how to make connections that foster growth and opportunities to connect.
We also talk about how to navigate social anxieties and insecurities, and how we make up stories about other people, and really coming back to places of compassion within ourselves.
And we shared tips and tricks and tactics that we use to overcome those occasional bouts of anxiety that we all have. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Dub Sutra, for that amazing intro song. I am Betsy.
I'm Halcyon.
I'm JANUS.
And together we are three friends here sharing sparks of inspiration for you guys to enjoy. So I am BETSY FINKLEHOO. I live in Southern California, sharing my gifts of the healing arts through body work, energy work, intuitive coaching. And you can find more of my work in the affirmation world, poweraffirmation.com. And this morning, I am so grateful for radiant sunlight in this time of year. It is one of my most treasured morning practices, is going outside in the morning to drink in the sunlight.
I'm Halcyon. I am the co-founder of the First Saturdays Outreach for People Experiencing Homelessness and the host of the Hug Nation YouTube channel. And today I am grateful for growth. I heard a thing this morning that said every bit of discomfort you have is an angel whispering in your ears saying, grow, grow. So I'm grateful for a challenge I had yesterday where I first was beating myself up for being uncomfortable in a crowd, and later realized that I took care of myself as I needed to. So I'm grateful for those opportunities to grow.
All right, fantastic. Yes, my name is JANUS. I am the founder and CEO of NuWorld Nutritionals, a nutritional supplement company helping people to achieve a healthy state of mind. And today I am grateful for the connections that we make in gathering together as groups. I was blessed to be a part of a small group over the weekend that was very enjoyable, with some friends that I hadn't connected with on this deep of a level, and that was nice to experience. And also that my partner was able to join a group of ladies, and I was able to connect one of my newer friends with this group as well, just because I knew that it would be a good fit. And they all got together, and I got confirmation this morning, like, oh my gosh, it was so great to connect with these ladies. Thank you so much for thinking of me and thinking that I'd be part of that, and being able to connect people and give them a chance and opportunities for, new opportunities for connection and growth in this year and beyond is a nice thing to be a part of. So yeah, so grateful for that today for sure.
Yay. How perfect. Well, both of you guys shared really some wonderful gratitudes that are connected to our topic today.
Yeah.
And so today we are feeling inspired to share on the topic of socializing, connections with friends in person, and also through technology, online communities, and also how our experience of going to Burning Man for so many years has impacted our abilities to socialize and to navigate all kinds of different things that come up with connecting with people. And so I'd love to start with a spark that, so Halcyon, you have been doing these Love Morning broadcasts for quite some time, where you're gathering people from around the world on live on your Facebook channel, and you're instigating gratitude. So I see you building community and building connections. And so I'd love to maybe start off by checking in with you around your journey of building community and how that has been for you.
Sure. And it's so on topic. The Love Morning broadcast began because of the way the last chapter of our world, with the staying at home and kind of the isolation, really affected me and my ability to connect and socialize with people. And I felt like it all of the limberness that I had grown in my ability to connect with people had tightened. All my muscles of connection had atrophied. I naturally struggle with social anxiety, and sometimes people laugh, haha, sure you do, because I do all these things really boldly out there, and I look with pink hair, and I am very out there in the world. But that is a active practice. And so when I stopped being out there in the world, I really found it difficult once I got back outside. I found myself going shopping and I put my head down. I didn't look at anybody. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm have removed such a critical part of the human experience by feeling uncomfortable connecting with fellow human beings. And so the Love Morning began as a way to remind myself every morning that to be the person that looks up and looks people in the eye and says hello and says good morning. And so every morning I need that kind of, okay, what's the direction I want in this day? I want to greet people. I want to look people in the eyes. I want to say hello. I want to look for gratitude. And then if that is the way I start the day and I think about it first thing, then when somebody passes me in the street, the instinct I have to put my head down, I can fight it immediately and go, no, I already know how I'm dealing with this. I'm saying hello and I'm saying good morning. And that's actually, to talk about socializing, that is one of the things that I was going to suggest as one of my practices is setting a little intention before I go into a social situation so that I can in advance say, okay, when you go in there, like practice listening. Or you're going to be focused on trying to connect with someone and ask them a bunch of questions. Because if I just walk into a situation without a plan, I default to like anxiety behaviors and patterns. In the same way that if I didn't have the plan in advance when I cross someone on the street, I look down to try to avoid awkwardness. And so Love Morning is a way of institutionalizing that. I've been doing it for 2 years now, and now enough people come and we share that it almost becomes a support group. We're rubbing each other's shoulders and be like, all right, let's go out there and say hello to everybody. Because not everybody says hello back. And maybe we'll get more of that. And how Burning Man is so important is that you get to practice what it's like when everybody's going to be nice to you. Because the real world isn't always like that.
Yeah.
So true.
I think go ahead, John. Go ahead.
I was going to ask a question and see if there's any practices that you have to ensure that you are going to be your social best when you are encountering people.
Well, one thing I do, and this applies to a lot of different things, is the whole fake it till you make it principle. And I use that socially in that even if I'm not feeling particularly social, you have to sometimes just drag yourself to these things and just trust that it's going to be great, because it often is. And even if it's just going to a small gathering or just going out in the world, one thing I do is that when you smile, you just make yourself smile, even in, doesn't matter what you're feeling, you just smile it's kind of overdo it just for yourself. After a few seconds, something is released in your body, in your mind, you're chemically. So you're just smiling like this ridiculous person. And after 5 seconds, you actually, the smile is fake, but after a few moments, it kind of becomes real, because you're just I'm just smiling like an idiot for no reason. And then for whatever reason, when you want to stop smiling, you don't stop right away, because your body is oh, I'm smiling, I'm feeling good. And it's a way to kind of activate those, not educated on it, but these happy chemicals that just kind of put you in a good spot. So there's a lot of times where I arrive to somebody's house, even if I'm feeling good, I'll just smile for 5 seconds. And then I end up, by the time I knock on the door, I'm like, hey, da, da, da. And it actually does work. It's something super simple and sounds dumb, but it does work for me. So that's something that I do to help get my mind right, get my energy good for a social connection.
Love that.
I'm smiling so big right now. Just hearing you talk about it. I love it so much. It reminds me of that movie, Elf. Why are you smiling? It's because I just love smiling. It's my favorite. Smiling's my favorite.
And I think it's a good thing to remember that, when I was younger and I would go to places that I was uncomfortable, I would try to look cool. I would have my straight face, cool wolf against the wall. And I'm wait, I'm going to be the smiling guy.
Yes.
Even if I'm uncomfortable just sitting by myself, smiling is a much easier path to a connection than cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's warm and welcoming. And I know when I see someone smile, I'm drawn to them. And I love that you shared that as a tool for your own personal settling, of your nerves, to just let your body guide your soul to relax into joy. And I actually I wrote down a little note when you were talking about nervousness is excitement, right? Because I've had that experience where I'm about to go to a gathering or go out somewhere, and when I start to get there, I feel I'm a little bit nervous going in, and then I go like, oh, I'm feeling this feeling because I'm actually really excited. Something's about to happen where I'm going to connect with people, and I'm really excited about connecting with these people. And so to be able to have the awareness that that's that same vibration, it's in the solar plexus, right? Nervousness and anxiety is in the solar plexus. And that's also the same place where I get really excited. And so I just say yes to it before I go into a gathering, like, yes, 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 I'm super excited. And then also, one of the other things that I really love to do at gatherings to help to soften the edge, especially at that first part of a gathering or going somewhere where it's kind of like the settling in, we're acclimating to each other and finding ways to kind of have those icebreaker conversations where I find that's usually where the most awkwardness lives. It's just when we first come into each other's field is I really have loved to practice two different things. One is very specific questions that I like to ask to my friends or new people, instead of like, so how you doing? What's been going on for you? Because I personally have felt some anxiety when people ask me that, because I'm like, I don't know. There's so much going on. I haven't seen you in a very long time. What should I share? Right? I feel overwhelmed by that. And so I have found the specific questions around, have you traveled anywhere lately? Or are you working on any cool projects? What's been lighting you up in life lately? Or, what has your kid been getting into? And those kind of specific questions have really created a softening in the conversation, because when I ask those questions like, oh my God, my daughter is really into da 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 da, and then watching someone light up, and it's a really fun way to bridge the connection. And then the other thing I do in social settings is to kind of help with the integration of getting to connect is have some kind of offering. And so when I first came into the Burning Man community, face painting was my icebreaker. And so offering little adornments of sorts and painting faces or using my little tribal markers, body paints, to be able to like make little offerings. And it really creates a sense of connection without having to make small talk, right? Or offering something at the gathering, arranging food and being in service. It's a really beautiful way for my own nervous system to settle into the space.
Nice.
So those are just a couple of things I love doing.
Ooh, I want to add to a couple of those. One, I so agree with the having some specific inquiries when you go into an interaction. I mean, I know for me personally, if you ask me what's going on, you better be prepared to hear a lot, because I'll be like, well, I'll tell you everything that I'm excited about. And one of the reasons why I will launch into something is because I have a technique I tell people about, like, have a pocket story. But when you go in, have something that happened this week or recently. It could even be just something you saw on TV that was interesting, so that you go, this is something that has happened to me that I've been thinking about, that I'm willing to share. And it helps that awkwardness of like, how are things going? Good. Same. Like, you know what? Something happened this week, like you had a weird interaction at the grocery store, or you saw a TV show that made you question if you're in a simulation or something, And so if you just go and have that in the back of your mind, you when there is that pause, you start there.
Ooh, another thing is so if you're in the car right before you go into a place where you're going to see people, you check in, what's my pocket story? What stories do I have in my pocket?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Yeah. And then you find some of your pocket stories start to become better and better stories. And it starts to be the thing that when there's a pause around a campfire, you're like, oh, everybody loves this pocket story.
Right. Yeah. You can also, as a networking kind of thing, your pocket story could be related to your business as well. So if if you have your own business, like we all kind of do, that's something that is an easy pocket story for you. So, hey, so Betsy, what's new for you? Oh my gosh, I got a new group for my Power Affirmation group. I got them fired up. This, that, and the other thing. And it's not just like you're trying to hustle and sell yourself, but it's a nice opportunity for you to. Doesn't have to be your story for every single person that you connect with, but it's something to get your juices flowing, so that get your conversational juices flowing, so that way you can talk about it. That's something that you know about. Ideally, and you can get into it and go from there.
And more importantly, you're excited about it, because I think that is the key.
Yes, exactly.
People want to know what you are passionate about and what you love across the board. And that's a public speaking advice too. Like, hey, don't try to convince anybody of anything. Don't try to, no agenda. If you just share your passion and legitimately let yourself feel it as you're talking, you can be talking about your spreadsheets, and it's compelling to hear somebody excited about something. So I agree.
Yeah.
If it's your work thing and you're excited, that's perfectly valid.
Yeah, totally. And authenticity too, right? To be able to be authentic in your expression, right? If it is really joy inducing, if it is really creating that passion, allow it to be seen. And also, I love this consideration around how do we answer the question, how are you if you're not well? Say you're grieving, maybe you're having a really hard time, and how do we not only feel okay to share how we're actually feeling, but as the recipient, how to respond to that, right? It's like, could be kind of awkward for somebody to reply. So one of the things I have found when somebody shares that they're going through something really difficult, instead of getting awkward and myself, I don't know what I'm supposed to say, then I just look them in the eyes and just say, I hear you. Wow, sounds like it's been really challenging. I'm really glad that you're here. And then in that, what happens is a softening. And it's a really bridges a beautiful place of connection too.
I love that. I think that's really significant too, is it can be tough, especially before you know where the other person's at, to be in sync with your vibes. If you launch into your joy about everything working out and someone's like, good for you. Yeah, I just came here from my celebration of life, and you're like, oh, but at the same time, if they're friends, you do want to be genuine and authentic. But like, I had struggled during the pandemic, early stages of pandemic, when I was really practicing gratitude a lot. And so I was really focused on gratitude, and a lot of people were struggling to be grateful. And so it was difficult to share aspects of joy when there were so many people that were in a difficult space. So sometimes I would say things like, when people say, how are you? I think, all things considered, I'm doing fantastic. Like, I'm acknowledging there's a lot that I could be upset about. I'm not trying to dismiss your experience if you are not having a good time, because I acknowledge that that's it. And yet I'm still doing okay. And that was my way to kind of like, make space to get on the same page. Because then if they want to address the all things considered, sure, we can go there and talk about that, because it's still part of the conversation.
Yeah, that's a good practice, even post pandemic, because there's just a lot of stuff happening in the world, and it's not easy. Like I saw an appropriate meme this morning that said, I'm doing the February challenge, which is me just getting through every day in the month of February. Like that's my challenge. And yeah, there's it's just a chance to acknowledge that there's a lot of things going on for everybody. So how are you? All things considered, with everything in the world, I'm doing pretty good, actually. And and that gives people a chance to like open up and drop into, because once again, when it gets to, and how are you? Oh my gosh, I had a celebration of life for my pet or whatever. It acknowledges that it's a challenging world out there these days. So, but there's ways for us to find the things to be grateful for, and you might be able to inspire each other to that gratefulness as well.
Yeah.
That's one of the benefits of a pocket story is I suggest you make your pocket story one of optimism and joy and gratitude. Because if you're going to choose what you're going to talk about, if you need to, yes,
Exactly.
go dark. But if you're
Yeah.
going to choose, I want to celebrate wins. I want to hear
Yeah.
what's awesome. I'll be there for you, and we can talk about the dark stuff. But often without intention, people will slip into complaining. And I say people in general. I think if depending on your circles, but becoming aware of that tendency to slip into complaining makes it easier to like.
Yeah.
I would rather talk about your kids and how awesome they are than your job and how oppressive it is.
Yeah. Or if, if you find yourself in a conversation where you're hearing somebody in a place of complaining, how to gracefully inquire about something that might shift the perspective, right? Like I like the question, especially if someone's in the density, wow, what did you learn from that? Or did you find a breakthrough in that? And then that kind of starts to uplift and think about a new perspective.
That's fantastic.
A good question I have with that is when somebody kind of slips into that is, has the silver lining shown up for that yet?
I love that one. Yeah.
And everyone immediately knows what that is, like what that concept is. And there's been some times where people are like, actually, yeah. And then, they get into it. And so, and other times they're like, no, not yet, not yet. But it opens up the avenue for a transition. It almost like kind of checks people to be like, oh, not yet, but I'm working on it. And it gives people a way to kind of shift the energy a little bit, or inspires people to shift the energy a little bit. I have actually had that kind of use on me as well. Be like, okay, maybe I'm choosing to focus on maybe the wrong thing at the time, and I can pick up the energy a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. So I actually have a curiosity, especially considering, the three of us are pretty social people. I think that, we have many different circles we've been running in for many years and have built up a community. But there's a lot of people out there that are looking for their tribe. They're looking for their people. They're looking for the depth of connection, and I know personally growing up when I was in Ohio, the main socializing place was the bar. Right? Okay, well, I'm going to go be out and be around people. I guess I'm going to go to the bar. Right. And it was like, everything was, circling around alcohol. Right. And you go meet people and it's a very different energy at a bar. Right. And then when I came to California, I started seeing that there was other types of gatherings and different types of events that were focused on other things, right? And I started to meet people in different sort of ways. And so I think my curiosity from you guys who are, in my opinion, social masters and have been at this for some time, really like building deep relationships and providing space for alternative types of connecting. Do you guys have any insight or sparks for people out there that are looking for their tribe and finding ways to connect beyond the bar or in alternative ways?
I mean, my history of socializing dramatically changed when I went to Burning Man 24 years ago and realized that what makes someone a burner is not any shared experiences or views or politics, but this kind of radical inclusion. This idea that, if you are being authentic, then I welcome and accept you. And so finding that and all the things that go with the Burning Man and radical self-expression, I found that after I was exposed to that kind of baseline traits, I really struggled with going to a bar in the default world. The shift or the time it took to get to a place of, hey, here's my creative part of me that I'm willing to share with you, and here's my hopes and dreams. Like that journey could take all night. But if it's a burner, you're like, how you doing? And they go, oh, I just welded this thing to this thing, and you're like, okay, all right, we're in it. And so my experience was, once I tasted that, I just looked for social things that was happening within the Burning Man community. And so burners will host nights doing, at a bar, perhaps even. It's not about the bar, it's about the people that are there. Or I started to host brunches for burners. people doing art activities, and even the best of all is finding a camp and then becoming a build, being a part of a build team and getting together on weekends and paper macheing stuff and painting stuff, and that kind of shared project is how I've made many friendships.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
pretty much been my experience as well. Once you go Burning Man, you can never go back. And yeah, I had a lot of experiences where the bar just seemed less attractive and appealing. I definitely had a point in my life where that was my weekend activity, and even sometimes midweek activity was I'm going to go to the bar, I'm going to go to this bar, I'm going to go to this club. And like Halcyon's saying, it takes a while to kind of distill through all that. And then you're getting people who have their inhibitions lowered or their social anxiety lowered based on the alcohol consumption, but then that's replaced with the drunkenness potentially. So yeah, after attending Burning Man, I definitely had less appeal. And there was always something happening within the community, like there's a house party or there's a build party or there's some sort of camp meetup or something. So there's a lot of that happening, so that it was easy to not go to the bar after that. That said, if you're not going to Burning Man or that you're not interested in that, like how do you do that? And I mean, there's so many ways. We could fill up a podcast of just alternative ways to meet up and to connect and find people to be with and learn from and grow and share and be social with. So it's just a matter of finding out what your interests are, or like maybe even listing your interests and then finding groups of people who are into that thing. There's people who are doing, and there's just so many that I hesitate to even like just kind of pull them out of the ethers. But there's a lot of people that like what you like. There's a lot of people that are into the things that you're into. And this is where the online aspect can come in. Find those people, and there's people in your town, like real close to you, who love the same things you love, no matter what that is. So find those people and connect.
So true. So true. I love that. Where I live in Encinitas, there's a really big surf community here. And there's also a lot of really active people. I ended up going to a small little event the other day that was for a 5 and 10K race. And there was all these people there that are very athletic and like to run. And it wasn't an athletic event. It was a gathering, and it was really nice to be able to feel this certain vibration of people, right? Or yogis, right? There's a lot of cool like yoga events and music events and things like that. And I think that one of the things that is really valuable when you do find those places that there's people that have shared interests, to be able to learn how to bridge the conversations, right? Which is like coming back to what we're talking about, asking questions, right? And that the book everyone knows, right? How to influence people and win friends or something like that. One of the main things in there is asking questions, right? When there's that connection point to actually check in with somebody, then we start to learn about new people and we can start to build and grow from there.
Yeah, there's as another addition to the asking questions is something that I learned when I was being interviewed for a documentary, and I was just kept talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and I realized that the interviewer was just giving me these subtle cues that they were interested and they were connected. They just kept every once in a while just kind of like nodding their head a little bit.
Yeah. It's called prosody. There's a name for that. Prosody.
There you go. It is probably the best thing that I know to get people to go deep and juicy, because especially if someone is telling you something that is a little bit vulnerable, they are a little scared, and if you can give some indication that you are symbolically kind of holding them, and just like a nod is saying like, I'm with you, I'm following you, I'm with you. And it really, I think, it makes the question asking, go deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and those subtle little responses, right? Yes. Oh, right. Yep. Wow. Okay, I'm present. I'm right here. Eye contact. right? Whereas I'm sure we've all experienced when you're sharing something from your heart or just with somebody and their eyes are looking all around and their, body language is like not present, then it's not really that engaging, right? And so
Right.
if we want to connect with people and build relationships with people, then we have to learn how to create that connection. And it's subtle. It can be subtle, but very impactful.
And
And then also, oh,
go ahead.
I actually wanted to reflect. I was noticing a friend of mine who's really, really good at giving reflections. So every time I have a conversation with him, and I've watched him with other people have conversations, and he has this major superpower where he'll be listening to me and he'll be giving the nods and just present, and I think it's called prosody or prosody, letting me know he's there. And then when I'm complete, he's able to reflect back to me not only what I said, but in celebration. He's like, will be like, wow, that's really amazing that you were able to such and da 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 da. Or wow, that's really, really interesting about whatever it was that I said. And it's like that reflection point is so helpful for me to feel heard, right? Because I've had also the opposite of experience where I might share something very deep and meaningful with a friend or on a date or somewhere, and the other person, yeah, maybe kind of like nodding, but then like doesn't really say anything else. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, okay, kind of a
But
long, awkward pause at the end of the conversation. That not sure if you heard that, but okay.
I
Yeah.
love that you use the word he celebrates what you said, because I think that is another I hate saying it's a tactic or a tool, but I really consciously try to tell myself I am a cheerleader for any idea that somebody tells me. Unless you specifically say, hey, do you think this will make money? And then I'll be critical and think about it. Otherwise, anything that anybody is excited about, yes, awesome. Go for it. That's great. I'm so happy.
Woo!
Let me know how it goes, and that, I mean, it's genuine. I genuinely am excited if anybody is excited, but sharing that, as you said, Betsy, it feels good. Oh, I'm heard. Like my excitement is caused another excitement. This feels good. And so I think I think that makes also people happy to see you next time they see you, which is also part of this.
Yeah.
Raises the vibration.
Yeah. Because what you're talking about is the art of listening. And, there's a saying that says that people will forget what you said, but they won't forget how you made them feel. Or they won't forget the feeling they had when they engaged with you. So there's a number of tools and resources out there to kind of learn to be a good listener, but that's where we're getting to, and kind of realizing that if you're going to go out and be social, not realizing, but really, kind of processing for yourself that if we're going to go out and be social, that the art of listening is something we want to cultivate. And we want to be able to show up for our friends, and we want to be able to show up for strangers as well. So it's important that if we're going to put ourselves out in the world, that we're able to not only like receive from the world, but also to offer to the world, to the people that we're encountering. And that is done in the realm of presence, like being present with somebody, and really like, I'm not going to ask somebody how their day was unless I'm fully prepared and able to hear the answer, no matter what that answer is, and then respond accordingly. So it's important to kind of do a little self-check when we're leaving the house, and kind of knowing what it is we're open to, what it is we're up for, what it is we're capable of, and then being able to show up for our friends and strangers in a way that is, like Halcyon is saying, empowering and able to kind of receive and be a cheerleader for whatever it is they're up for, or whatever it is they're up to, and to also, even if they're not really feeling that great, at least let them know that they've been heard, and that, which is really most of what everybody is looking for at any given moment.
Kindness.
Mm-hmm.
Kindness.
One of the other parts of making sure people are heard is recognizing that people have very different levels of forwardness and boldness in their contributions to conversations. So you can have a circle of 3-4 friends, and there are some people that will wait until engaged, or wait until asked. And there are other people that anytime there's a pause, they got more story. I have to watch myself because I love to talk. And so I will sometimes leave a party and go, I got on a roll, and I didn't pause to check in with these friends that I know are more timid in their communication style. It doesn't mean they don't have anything to say. It just means that their style is such that they will not demand the microphone. And so I think that's another thing when I go into an event is try to remind myself that, like, share the mic, share the microphone, because there's, I have people that are very special to me that are perfectly happy allowing others to speak. And then it's such a loss to not get their perspectives.
Yeah, so true. And I'm also just tracking this subtle awareness around where other people are, right? When you're so exuberant in your expression, halcyon, or sometimes I am, and other people may take a little while for them to open up and soften. One of the things I really have learned over many years of socializing is to be sensitive to other people's social anxieties or potential for social anxiety. Whereas my old self, and sometimes occasionally still, I would take it personally if somebody was not open, or maybe they were a little awkward in saying hi to me. I used to make up a story that, oh, they don't like me, or they don't want to engage with me. But I've come to realize, oh, actually, we all got to navigate these different layers of social anxiety and comfortability. And so now my practice is, how can I be warm and how can I be welcoming and sensitive to where other people are at, and just continue to come back to that question within myself. How can I provide a safe place for people to feel comfortable with me, right? And not like take it personally that somebody might be a little in their awkward process, because I've been there before too. I know that there's been moments where I could feel when somebody is so welcoming, so kind, somebody like, I go into an environment where I don't know anyone and everyone knows each other. It's like, hey. And if someone comes over to me and says, hello, so, who are you? It's so nice to meet you. I'm so glad that you're here. It's like, my whole nervous system relaxes. And then I feel like I'm able to engage more. And so I try and spread that light as well, and be that warm, welcoming space for people to settle into.
Wow. As you're speaking, I'm feeling nervousness and anxiety as I'm remembering. So this weekend, I went to an event where it was a birthday party for Arash, who hosts the Burner podcast, which is awesome. And so everyone there basically was connected with Burning Man in some way. And as someone who's been going to Burning Man for 24 years and have been in San Diego for 51 years, like, I've crossed paths with everybody there at some point, I'm pretty sure. But I was not feeling at my strongest. And so I got really anxious about how do I know each person here? And I imagine that there are people that were at that party that saw me and were like, damn, he's kind of standoffish, because I talked to a few people and then I kind of took care of my self-care and I left, and I came back for a little bit and then I left. And I think that's a really good thing to remember, is that people are going through their shit, and it's not personal. And that's actually something I really struggle with. I sometimes get anxious about going to a party because I don't want to make someone feel bad, because I don't have the energy or the presence to be there for somebody that I should. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And there it is. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So and like, this spark is really about compassion, right? How do we be compassionate towards other people and not take it personally? I also had an experience just this weekend where I noticed my inner child, this little girl part of me, get a little like, meow. This girl didn't say hi to me when she came into the gathering. And I was like looking for all the reasons why she probably doesn't like me. And then I was like, oh, wow, okay, like, that actually has nothing to do with her. That's my own, like, inner child of needing to feel seen. And it's like, how can I actually come back to a place of compassion for myself and soften into that place, and also, like, trust that she's in her own process, and it likely didn't have anything to do with me. And if it did, then hopefully we'll have an opportunity to have a healing, and hopefully she's having some insight about how our energies are, right? And so to just like eradicate the stories, right? The
Yeah.
stories that we make up about other people or what we think other people are going through. If somebody is in a process, like we don't know. We don't always know. And then also I want to touch on too this like sort of the awkwardness around remembering people.
Mm.
At this stage of meeting so many hundreds and thousands of people, so many people see faces on social media all the time, so many faces and so many names to remember. So when you come out into a social environment when somebody might remember you and you don't remember them, how to navigate that kind of awkward moment. I've faced that and had many stumbling moments and felt really horrible and have come to a place of actually being authentic and saying, hey, oh my gosh, so good to see you too. And I'm so sorry in this moment, I'm having a little like a brain fart. Can you remind me of your name? I'm so sorry, And every time I have just like called it out for what it is, every time somebody is like, oh yeah, of course. Oh, it's Ashley. Oh, it's Michael or whatever. Like, oh, thank you so much. I just have a lot going on right now. So I appreciate it. So good to see you, Michael. And I have had that same happen to me. And a lot of times I've actually been learning now, if I haven't seen someone in a while, if I remember them and they kind of give me that look like, oh, hey, I go over and say, hey, so good to see you. It's Betsy, in case you forgot. Like nothing personal. It's not a big deal. I've also been in that place where I can't say hi to that person because I can't remember their name. And then I missed out on a connection because I felt insecure about knowing their name. And so I have gotten to a point of just like getting over that and going over to the person and saying, hey, so good to see you. Hey, I'm so sorry. What was your name again? And almost every time I've done that, the response is, oh my God, so good to see you too. And I totally forgot your name too. It's like, okay, no worries. I remember your face. I remember your soul. I have no idea where we met, but I'm happy to see you.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a shirt that says, I'm having a brain fart, just so that people know that I probably don't remember how do we know each other? And you're right. It makes it way more complicated because of our social media connections. Like I'll say, I know the face, don't know why. Don't know, is this somebody that I follow? Have we stayed up all night, in deep playa with at one point in our life, did we feel like we were soulmates? Like, I don't know exactly if people can walk me back, but it's difficult. I mean, I'm pretty convinced that I have a more than normal deterioration of memory. And so people that know me closely will often reintroduce themselves at a party because they know that it's a struggle for me. And which is especially tough because I think people assume that everybody's minds work like theirs. So if they remember it or we had a special moment, of course you would remember it if it was special to you. And that's just not true. Like I get memories that come up in my Facebook memories. Like, I'm like, wait, I met Dave Navarro. He's one of my heroes. How come I don't remember that? I'm like, oh wait, that's right. And I can, it's just
recall.
It's just, it goes to that compassion, and compassion and stories. I guarantee you that if I don't say hello, it's not because you don't matter. It's because I can't remember. I haven't had an opportunity to be reminded. I want to talk to you again. I'm sorry in advance.
Yeah, or you're having a social anxiety moment, right?
Actually, let me correct myself. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm thanking you for your patience.
Yes, thank you for your patience. I actually just had something like this totally shatter a paradigm. So I met this guy 5 times in like 1 month. He happened, like I met him at a gathering and then he was at another gathering and then he was another gathering. And every time he did not remember me. And the first like 4 times I was kind of like, okay, I'll play this game. Hi, I'm Betsy. He's like, hi, yeah, my name's Jeremiah. Nice to meet you. I was like, okay, great. Okay, this guy really doesn't remember me. The 5th time, I was kind of agitated by it. And I was like slightly triggered. And then I was like, all right, let me just check in with this guy. And I was like, hey, we've met actually like 4 or so times. Not sure like if you remember that. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I actually have been detoxing from mold. He's like, I've been going through this major brain protocol with the mold toxicity, and it's been really challenging for me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And it shattered my like perception of like judgment and frustration and like self insecurity around why wouldn't I be remembered. I was like compassion. And then that actually created a longer conversation with this person that anchored our connection. And was like, then the next time I saw him, it was like, oh yeah, we talked for more than a minute, and we went deep.
Yeah. So it's a reminder to just don't take everything so damn personally.
Yes.
It's so seldom about us, and we're this day and age, it's easy to get offended by everything essentially. So when people, are having trouble remembering my name, or I'm having trouble remembering their name, I just tell them like straight out, hey, I don't remember your name. And I just treat it as not a big deal. And so they automatically go, okay, yeah, not a big deal. I can see them kind of process, not a big deal. When I can see the annoyance kind of like start to like spark up in them a little bit, but I'm treating it as not a big deal. And so a lot of times that kind of leads them to that. And then there's other times where people are like, my name is so-and-so, we've met, this, any other thing. I'm like, sorry, that's how my brain works, or it doesn't work sometimes. So it's just letting people know, either directly or indirectly, and reminding ourselves that it's so seldom about us. It's never frankly about us, and just not take everything so personally. And so that's a good experience and good reminder for you. It seems like, Betsy, just that we all got stuff going on. So just remember that.
I got to share my worst story like this. I was at an event, a burner event, and was dancing with a woman, and I introduced myself, and she got very annoyed and said, "We've met 3 times." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I meet a lot of people." And then she leans in, like she's going to kiss me. She grabs the back of my head and bites my lip so hard that I'm dripping blood. And she goes, "You won't forget me now."
Oh.
And I immediately looked away from her. I'm like, I cannot reward this behavior. This is crazy. You just literally assaulted me, or battery. Like it was
like, actually, I do want to forget you now.
Yeah. I don't know who it was. I know she was blonde, but if that's you, woman out there, if I do find out who you are, I will file the police report. That was insane.
Oh my God.
So it didn't work.
Wow.
Did not work.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's funny.
Next time, grab my crotch. That will be a much more effective technique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I saw this happen at a party once where I just at a periphery of my like eyesight and earshot, that she was like, she was like, "My name is Sarah," and like smack, and I turned, but she said it so loudly that I looked over right when she smacked this dude. It wasn't too hard, but it was definitely, it left an impression. She's like, "You won't forget me now, will ya?" And he was like, "No," he was like, no. And then I happened to actually be talking to him, and she walked by, and he was like, Sarah. She's like, "That's right." And just kind of, so if that's,
I cannot condone this behavior.
I cannot condone this behavior. It's effective. It is effective. It works sometimes, but yeah, there's better ways, people.
I'm going to give a better technique to go back to something that Betsy started with earlier about having an offering or a prop or something like that. That I always travel with stickers that I give away, or I make personal business cards. So, for $20, you can go to, Staples and go online, and you can design some card, not business, just says like, "Hey, it was great to meet you," or something, especially it's something personal about you. You can put your picture on it. You got, Betsy's showing her.
I have one.
Mine says I'm a surreal estate agent. So I hand people, and it's got a link to my stuff on the back, my Instagram, and a link to all of my things. It's like, I just think that's an easy way to, one, put the name in someone's hand.
Yeah.
And it ends up just being a silliness that breaks into the ice.
Yeah. And then I have this one too. It says, "I believe in you." And for a long time on my business card too, I would put "the future is bright" with a picture of myself. And on the back, instead of putting my profession, the first thing I wrote on there is "friend." And because that's the primary relationships that I'm building. I want to be friends with my clients too. And so to put that on there instead of just like defining who I am. And then this that says, I believe in you. I've gotten messages from people all over saying that they found it in the most perfect moment, or when they're doubting themselves, that like, they find it in a drawer, or it turns up in a book, or that like falls off their fridge, and they're like, I needed to see that right in that moment. Leaving these little like trails of inspiration for people.
That's good to remember, because I'm surprised how few people will message me afterwards, even after we have a cool connection. I give them the card. I'm like, yeah, cool. So message me so we can be connected. Rarely happens. However, I do quite often get a message from someone who finds the card years later, or sees the sticker, many years afterwards. It's like, okay, cool. It's not about the networking that I thought it was. It was about a connection that, who knew?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love this conversation, you guys, and I feel like we can probably wrap it up with some sparks here, because I think we got a lot of inspiration flowing in the realm of socializing, of staying connected, and finding these unique ways to be able to move through our own social anxieties and all the different things that come along with building community and making deep friendships. So, what sparks you got to close it up, you guys?
I want to just reiterate and mention the reality that, the people who are talking right now together, we are all people that experienced challenges, and everyone is someone who experiences challenges, and that remembering that, I think it can be so important for self-forgiveness, and for recognizing that idea of not judging somebody else or creating a story that, it is, I just want to remind everybody that the person that you think has got it figured out could have gone to the party yesterday and turned away at the door because they just couldn't calm their anxiety, which would be me. So that it's important to not beat ourselves up, and it's important not to create stories for other people. We're all doing the best we can.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same spark I had coming out of this conversation, is the idea of self-compassion, compassion for others. And when it comes to, creating those social connections, it takes work. It takes work. It takes practice to get out there and to get out of our own bubbles and our own heads, to access that courage to connect and really show up for people in the ways that we would like people to show up for us. So yeah, have that compassion, have that, personal, ability to not take things personally, and really try to show up for others in the ways that you would like to have the world show up for you.
So good. Yes. I will share my spark is really just about coming back to that question that I like to ask myself. How can I be a warm and welcoming place for the people that I engage with? Right. And I feel like the compassion really does help with that. If I can be centered in myself, if I can feel grounded in myself and relaxed in my own body, then I feel like I can create a warm and welcoming place for others to engage. Right. And so welcoming people, saying hello, eye contact, the reciprocity of conversation. These are simple things that we can do to help to encourage real deep connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I want to just jump on with one more spark that's related to what you both said. She used the word courage. And I think that's another thing that I think is so helpful to me, is remembering that I want to be an ambassador of love. I want to be a love warrior in the world. And sometimes that is hard. And especially when the world is not cheering you on and saying, hey, hello, good morning back to you. Every time it's difficult is when I try to remind myself, no, this is what I've been preparing for. This is the warrior path in the modern world, is one who is going to stand up and be connecting and kind, even when it's difficult. The dragon that I'm facing is pessimism and darkness, and it takes courage.
Yeah. That's the definition of courage, is to feel the fear and do it anyway.
That's right.
It is something we all have access to. It's been, it can be daunting, it can be challenging, certainly fearful. we can do this. We can we can do this, people.
Yes, yes, yes. Community is so important. Staying connected is so important. We all felt what it felt like to be separate from one another. We went through a real quarantine, and it just gave more perspective of that value of coming together and being surrounded by people that light us up, and that, what real connection feels like. It's so valuable for our mental health, our well-being, our joy.
Well, in one way or another, we're all trying to offer things to the world to help with our self care, our mental health, and our connection. I'm wondering if I will start and say that I have gratitude circles every day at noon and 6 p.m. Pacific time, where we can try to practice this connection and try to practice these ways of being open to one another, as well as a live stream on Facebook and YouTube every morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. And I would love for us to have an opportunity to connect and share how our days are with one another. Betsy, what are you up to, and how can people connect with you?
I love that. Thank you so much. Yes, I also am here as an advocate for happiness and joy and connectivity. And so I help people to build skills for sustainable happiness and connection to their bodies, connection to their minds, connection to their spirit, through the one-on-one work I do with my clients in here in Solana Beach. And I also do virtual programs to help to do reprogramming of limiting beliefs through a process called the Power Affirmation process, which is just such a beautiful way to be able to get in touch with all the authenticity of our belief systems and then take empowered choice to shift what those are. And I also have been getting to create life reset retreats for people as well, which has been really, really fun to be able to, create an experience of transformation. My totem is a butterfly. And so I really, really celebrate metamorphosis and support people on their journey of deep embodied transformation in many different ways. And you can find me on my website, finklehoo.com. That's my last name, Finklehoo.
Nice. And I am again, I've got a nutritional supplement company called NuWorld Nutritionals, and our main products are ones that are, used for like mood elevation and for mental health support, things like that, for addressing things like anxiety, depression, and there's things like social anxiety that when you get your brain right, when you got the right like nutrients in your body and in your brain, you're able to kind of go out into the world and with a much more positive mindset. And it's kind of said that the when you change the way you see things, the things you see will change. So this is a good way to go about that. Support yourself nutritionally to get your mind right, so to speak. So the website is nuworldnutritionals.com. That's NU World Nutritionals, and you can use the code SPARKED for 10% off of any products.
Awesome. Betsy, will you close us out with an affirmation?
Yes, affirmations really help to focus our mind and get us in a uplifted state of being. And so we can close our eyes if you like. You can put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath. And in the spirit of connection, we'll use the affirmation, I easily connect with others. I easily connect with others. I am part of a growing community. I am part of a growing community. I love connecting with soul family. I love connecting with soul family. I easily meet wonderful, inspiring people. I easily meet and connect deeply with wonderfully inspiring people. I am connected. I am connected. I am connected. Yes, I am. We all are connected. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone out there. Thank you for staying connected with us through this beautiful platform. Please do reach out anytime. We love hearing your feedback. We love hearing your reviews and requests. So stay sparked.